But don't worry, guys. If you're watching Smite action, you can play now, too. We've got some events going on for you. The Odyssey chest, 25% off from the 28th through the 31st. That is Monday. You can bolster your Odyssey armory. A ton of awesome skins in there. And, yeah, there's just a bunch of awesome skins. I think Pixel Buster Frey is one of my favorites.
That's a spooky soul, man. I'm a little scared about
Spooky soul for the spooky weekend.
That's true.
Oh, man.
I'm worried.
Do you think we're going to see anything else spooky?
We're going to see some spooky ghosts coming up soon.
Some Jean Kui? Chaos? Fearno can't say anything. He's not allowed to. He's like, I don't know about Jean Kui. We've never played that in our lives. But heading into Game 2 here, what are your expectations? Do you feel SoaR's going to make some adaptations to picks and bans?
I think they will. I think they're going to play very carefully. I think they got a little cocky after the first day, and Denial took advantage. They did their homework. But you can never count Denial out. I mean, they showed up.
Do you think we should see target bans more towards this Raijin Nemesis combo that we're seeing SoaR really succeed with?
Definitely.
I don't think necessarily towards the Nemesis Raijin. I think it's just more about trying to allow Benji, or these soul laners are so impactful, I think, for both teams. So maybe it's a good strategy to get these late game gods for them, either the Amaterasu or the Vamana.
Do you feel the opposite, though? You feel like that Raijin Nemesis really a big factor here?
I think Homie's very comfortable on the Ao Kuang, Nemesis, Thor, those kind of picks, and he honestly did a lot that game with the Nemesis shred. He was the head of the snake for the first half of the game.
Yeah, I don't know what his score line was in the end, but I know he was like 1-4. But I don't think his stat line really
didn't matter.
Reflected how well he performed in that match.
You're just making such a big impact with the Nemesis Sobek Raijin combination. Every time that the Bacchus belly flop would just instantly deleted, or at least have to be out of the team fight. We saw even then in the late game when Jigs hit the belly flop onto Shadow Q, just how much damage he took after the Nem ult, after the Raijin ult.
Well, pick your poison, SoaR. They have a couple options here. They could ban away the Raijin or the Nim. Both are options here, but that Ao Kuang, you can't leave that up in Homie's hands either.
That's exactly what I was thinking. SoaR cannot allow the Ao Kuang to go through from Denial. It's going to be instantly banned, no hesitation. And now I think Denial, they're probably going to lean on the Nemesis yet again.
I think so as well.
You think it'll be first picked here?
I think so.
Denial going for it. I mean, would it be? I mean, not a bad idea to take away that Neith from Vedium as well. Like we've seen him kind of, you know, that really fits his playstyle, kind of that passive sit in lane farm style, and can just make those influential ults. I mean, that was some part of the reason we did see those kills happen onto Baskin were those double Neith ults.
Yes. I think the Neith works very well within Nemesis because you pick Nemesis and you camp the solo lane because she has that shred. She shreds the solo laner. Then you put the Neith ult in as well, and it's just so much damage onto the solo laner that I think SoaR might have to third ban the Neith here.
It's possible.
They could ban it. I don't see them playing it because Med Yankee would not prefer it. And the only reason I would see Snoopy playing it in middle is if we saw Anister play the Ao Kuang or some kind of magical god in the jungle, or maybe a magical god coming out of Baskin. But it's going to be the Janus for Snoopy. We're going to see a lot of mobility.
And yeah, I mean, that's just a god that I think every mid laner has to have in their repertoire. Just
definitely.
Gives you so many options even when behind, but there's that Raijin. And I mean, Denial, I think they picked the Sobek in this spot as well last time.
So what's interesting was the Agni the last game. They never actually played it competitively with Snoopy on SoaR. And now the first time we're going to see him playing Janus again.
Is this the first? You didn't play it in the online stages?
It doesn't, based on the stats right there.
Picking wins.
Well, we'll see if that happens here. And it is the Sobek. I'm assuming that Raijin's going to be locked in, so Denial still having that same core. What adaptations would you like to see in the jungle? Or do you think SoaR should just go for the Thor again and just keep that Janus? Well, I guess that's what they're going to do.
There's the Thor.
The global pressure is real, and that's what SoaR are going to continue to do. Anister likes to make the plays, and there's no other better jungler, I think, than Thor to go all over the map, especially with Janus.
Are we going to see the salty run back with the Janus instead of the Agni?
We might see an exact copy-paste of the last game, but with Janus instead of Agni.
I mean, SoaR still have that option. I can't recall what their fourth ban was last time, but the Neith might be something they should look into here.
They banned the Rama the last game, so they could potentially swap it out here. Vedium has been synergizing really well with the Nemesis. If they want to make sure that Baskin gets off to a safe start in the early game, especially playing an aggressive god like Ravana, then take the Neith away. Don't worry about that World Weaver.
Fearno, you think we'll see the Ravana again, or do you think we're going to see Baskin switch it up, though?
I think whatever Baskin plays, they're definitely going to focus on getting him ahead because last game, Denial just did whatever they wanted to with him. And Andy just wasn't there at the right place at the right time. And I think this game, no matter what he picks, they're just going to focus on getting Baskin ahead. Yeah.
And I would imagine so as well. Jingwei is banned, and there's the ROM ban. So SoaR, I mean, they said they're basically telling me that they feel they lost that game. That Denial did not win it. They lost it. They get the Soul as well. This is the identical lineup for both teams so far, outside of the Janus instead of the Agni.
And it's a safer pick, honestly, because you can reposition yourself so well in these team fights. If Denial goes all in with that Nemesis Sobek Raijin combination, all it takes is one through space and time for all of SoaR to get out of danger.
Well, are we going to see the Vamana Neith? I mean, if you're Denial, are you picking the Vamana Neith?
I think I would.
It worked out the last game for them, and they managed to camp out Baskin. Now, the question is, if the Vamana Neith comes out of Denial, is SoaR going to respond with that early game Ravana, or are they going to go a safer option? But electing to switch it to Ravana, surprisingly enough.
So Denial actually looking for that, frontline pressure, early game pressure coming out of the Ravana, and it's a Xbalanque as well instead of the Neith.
Another global ultimate out of the ADC.
That's also really disruptive to those Thor players.
It's going to be so difficult for Snoopy to line up through space and time during the darkest of night, as well as Anitster playing the Thor. But now it looks like they swapped their gods in the Soul Lane. This time it's going to be Baskin playing the Vamana.
All right, Fearno, before we throw to the casters, thoughts on both drafts?
I mean, the drafts are almost identical. I mean, the way Denial played last game, I have to lean towards their comp again, but SoaR's comp looks better than it did last game. I'd say they look about even.
Okay.
I got to give it to SoaR again. Considering even though they lost the first game, I gave them a lot of credit for their comp the first game. Second game, I like their comp a little bit better, and I think that they're going to make the necessary mind adjustments heading into the second game.
So you've got SoaR winning this one?
Yes.
Fearno, who do you have winning?
You got to pick. It's going to be a split.
Split? Okay, well, we've got the desks. They've all decided their picks. I'm feeling the split as well. I think SoaR's going to answer back, but it's going to be Hinduman and Aggro bringing you the action.
I mean, I'm going to side with the analyst desk here as well, because I think that Vamana versus Ravana was a really strange pick coming out from Denial.
Very interesting.
Why not take Vamana again?
I mean, I guess
you're against the Soul as well?
So not having the Neith able to pressure down your solo laner with you, maybe he's not able to get ahead as easily, so he wants something that he can make himself get ahead with that Ravana. Plus, you're going to be able to come and make plays onto a Vamana with the Homie Faye ultimate again, so maybe that's the idea there, but overall, I still would have preferred to see Benji back on this Vamana.
Yeah,
I mean, he did so well on it.
Just didn't get the decision to have the Ravana instead. Well, Denial got a group up on the same side of the map they did last time round, go through the left-hand side and look for a pick. This time they're going for the big old loop-a-loop right round the back looking for a pick. I guess they feel like there was something in SoaR's strategy at the start of games that they could abuse with finding the pluck, but the problem is that SoaR are having none of it. They're on the other side of the map.
They know that Denial likes to do this. Like I mentioned, we saw them do it yesterday. They did it earlier in the last game. This is classic Denial. Anytime you're playing up against Shadow Q, whether it's in competitive, in ranked, in casuals, you're always looking for when he's coming around the corner because you know he's going to be looking for a pick.
Well, they're going to swing right between Tier 1 and Tier 2. Really? No. Okay. They will stop there. They were thinking about it for a second. I thought that was a little bit too far-fetched for them to really go between the two towers there as well. But the Xbalanque, once again, no Transcendence for Vetium this time round. See a lot of the Xbalanques go for that. He's going for the Death Style into Igvar by the looks of it, nice and early on. Instead, looking for more trading potential.
So he's still got a Hunter with a global ult. He's still going to be able to influence team fights on the right side of the map in the middle lane. Just not with direct damage. It's going to be that blind. Darkest of Nights makes it so difficult to team fight up against it because you don't know where your teammates are, you don't know where the other team is. It can be very, very difficult, but this is definitely the opposite end as far as where you expect to see Vetium make the impact. Early game, you expected him with the Neith. This time it's going to be late game with the Xbalanque, trying to match that late game potential coming out of Met Yankee.
So 0-0 on this one at the start, obviously, because no invades coming out from either team. Already Hurrywind has made lane first, and this is kind of a rinse-repeat of game one with the Wrath for Shadow Q again. He will get a bit more of an advantage, but this time Snoopy a little bit quicker off the mark this time round to clear out the wave, and he will get lane pressure.
Snoopy using Janus very effectively. This is the first time we've seen Janus so far this group, which is always a surprise to me. I mean, everyone knows how much I love Janus and how effective I think he can be, but very surprised we don't see more players playing him with how much he brings to the team. Snoopy played it a couple times during the online stage, looked very comfortable on it. I'm excited to see what he can do this time.
No. Well, look at the disaster that's happened there. The Fire Elementals went to Denial, but they lose both sets of mid-Harpies instead, and Hurrywind just got chunked to half health. He has no more potions left. One is ticking, however, so he'll probably be sat at about 75% health now.
He does have the tiny trinket, which gives him some magical lifesteal, so he's not going to be completely poked out, but it will be a little bit more difficult for him. And like you mentioned, that is really, really bad news for Denial. Getting Snoopy and Annenster significantly closer to level 5.
The global's the most important thing there, not just the Thor this time, but a Janus that can make an impact. And when you look at this solo lane, what Benji's doing right now, he's going to have to stop that the moment Snoopy hits 5.
Exactly. And another reason that you could see Vedium picking up his late game Hunter, he doesn't want to be pushed up against Janus Thor. He wants to be under his tower because it's a lot harder to kill you when you're underneath your own tower. With Neith, you know, he's going to be up more, he's going to be pushing the wave faster, so he can almost bait himself into being in a bad position. By giving him this unfavorable lane matchup, it forces him to play defensively up against this double global.
And that's going to help them out a little bit, I guess, just to make sure they're in a better position overall here. So the game, looking through the builds as well. Nothing too exciting to speak home about. We do see the Shell again for Jigs this time round, and the Wrath, as we mentioned, for Shadow Q, so nothing too much of a surprise. But how are we feeling about the early mid-game here, Aggro? Who should have actual control here? I'm guessing SoaR the globals.
I don't know. I mean, Denial does have a decent amount of team fight early game. I mean, the Raijin ultimate still does good damage in the early game as long as they can time it outside of Jigs' Shell. Shadow Q with the Lurking in the Waters can really set up characters like Homie Faye and like Vedium. But like you mentioned, if Annenster can get a big dunk, if Yankee can follow up off that well, it's kind of a volatile mid-game team fight. It really is dependent on how well Snoopy can use his ultimate and how well he's able to put out damage with the one damaging spell that Janus has outside of that ult.
Well, mid and junglers are both level 5 now as well. They're going for the Fire Elementals here are Denial. They're going to be the first ones there. They got the first rotation of the Mandy. They look for a hammer, but it's going to be a little bit too late to even look at that possibility. The level 5s are about to be ticked in the duo lane as well now in the next wave coming through. So we should see those globals really come into play for all teams.
Gremlins are unlike any other thing in the jungle where you can't really fight over them. There's no contesting Fire Elementals because they just get taken so quickly. Annenster didn't even want to try it because it's not really worth it. Instead, they farm up those back harpies, just giving them some sort of farm, and that's what you see all top teams do. If they aren't doing what they want to do, they'll find something else. They're not just going to stand around and watch you do what they want.
And with those mid harpies being staggered as well, the right ones coming up before the left, now we may see some more contest over them. Back to the Season 1 days a little bit more there, where we could see some major fights in the 3v3s around those camps with possible rotations coming out as well.
And in the jungle is when both of these teams are going to be able to make an impact, specifically the mid mages. Snoopy's ultimate can really hit a lot more people in the jungle fairly easily, as well as provide that portal utility that you want. But on the other side, Heroine's ultimate, funneling the taiko drums down narrow corridors in the jungle, can be very, very deadly. So it's going to be, to me, how well can these two mid laners make an impact in the team fights? And that was the story of game 1 for me as well. I mean, it was Snoopy being forced out consistently, Benji doing very, very well at making sure the Agni wasn't able to contest any team fights, and then it was Heroine making the big plays.
Well, Homie took a lot of free poke there, but will all Jigs in response. Jigs under pressure here, plucked out into danger rather. The portal is down for him, but the drums has denied him the option of getting away. He doesn't get to the portal in time, but Heroine's going to be a casualty of war there. He falls down, Shadow Q out of mana, trying to lurk in the waters. One double tap is all it needs, an in-hand from Snoopy. He's a hunter at heart. He'll find it.
And he gets the portal, which forces Homie Faye's purification. Great fight coming out from SoaR. Heroine's the one that gets the first blood, but at the end of the day, SoaR walks away up 2 kills to 1, as well as a lot of important purifications down on the side of Denial. Both Homie Faye and Heroine forced to use their relics there, whereas Snoopy and Annenster both still have theirs available. So this opens up a big window, about 2 minutes, where the mid jungle for Denial is very, very vulnerable.
It worked out very much even there, especially Denial getting the first blood onto Jigs. Yeah, it's a support, but the first blood gold went to Heroine, very important for him, which kind of allows his death to be okay for the majority of that, because he did get that first blood. The difference is, though, it was Andy and Snoopy that both picked up a kill in response that will accelerate their builds as well. And not just that, you already mentioned it, the relics.
And they both get assists on each other's kills. You can see even with the first blood bounty, Heroine and Snoopy are even in farm right now. In fact, Snoopy's the one with a slight level lead just because he's able to stick around for an extra wave while Heroine is respawning. Snoopy getting those pen boots online early, going to help that already strong rotation ability from Janus and put out that damage. This is the time where Janus is still chunking you for a lot of your health.
And that's what happens when you get staggered mid-harpies as well. Exactly what we expected to happen here. So grouping up towards the mid lane here, trying to zone Homie FA and Heroine around from the rotation of Shadow Q coming into. Ward coverage is in Denial's favor here, so they know what was going on. But Andy, he realized he was under pressure there. He actually didn't have his hammer up, and he was worried about Shadow Q having backup. But when he went to the sky, well, you could see he was on his own, so he thought, I know, I'll try a bit of this.
Shadow knew that was coming, dashed out well. It does force the Darkness of Night out of Vetium, so this makes the engage for SoaR a little bit easier for the next couple seconds.
This is a repeat of game 1 here, because Homie FA is looking for a gank onto Baskin this time round, though. A little bit more difficult up against the big baby to really chase him down. The slows will hurt him a little bit, but he wants to pop that ultimate during the big baby to get those extra protections.
Exactly. He wants to wait until Baskin grows up a little bit, goes in that Colossal Fury and strip away extra protections, but by that time the slow is completely worthless.
Oh, Homie is deleted. Oh, he does get away. Not in time, though. Jigs picks up the kill with the Intoxicate there. Just a nice little combo coming out from SoaR. Thought he was going to get out with the Unstable Vortex missing. Not the case, though, when there's a Bacchus on your team.
No purification. There it was, still kind of feeling the reverberations from that initial engagement on the left-hand mid-Harpies, and SoaR takes advantage, now up 3-1, have gotten themselves a 500 gold lead and invade the blue buff.
They managed to get the blue buff off that as well. They didn't get the speed, but taking it away from Homie by actually killing him is still worthwhile as well. Do now want to answer back with a gold fury here. They're not going to be able to do it, however. They know Met Yankee's there with that ward you can see placed down just on the left, but he's not going to be baited into a bad situation, Met. He was waiting for his team to rotate.
One of the things I was very impressed with was Denial's ward coverage in game 1. They did an excellent job of using that gold lead they had amassed for themselves to take advantage of that and put wards all over that left-hand side. And even this game, look at how many wards they've got deep into SoaR's jungle. SoaR has a lot as well. They're not going to, have no vision on that left-hand side, but overall Denial has done a very good job of warding that left-hand side.
And Benji in this lane up against Baskin. Baskin has the lead this time round, and Baskin is on the Vamana this time round as well. We saw how that lane went when you get a small lead in this lane. Vamana can start to run away with things, even though, on a Ravana, you can still make an impact in the fights.
But this lead is nowhere close to the lead
true.
that Benji had last game. Baskin just kind of waiting around, waiting to be able to get into those team fights and hope to make the same sort of impact that Benji did. Just like Benji forced Snoopy out of almost every team fight in the late game until Heroin was able to just one-shot him, basically. That's going to be Baskin's job this game. Heroin should be nowhere near these team fights if Baskin's doing his job.
Well, build order for Vetium this game on that Xbalanque. Did go for the Iqbal into boots here. Hasn't gone Devour's Gauntlets, which he has done on the Neith, as we saw in game 1 here. But this time around, going for the straight up build and looking to poke out a little bit onto Met Yankee with that poison.
Very surprised to see the first item Iqbal up against the magical ADC. I really like it whenever you're facing off against another traditional hunter because it takes away from their power, it adds to yours, you get the attack speed, it gives you everything you want to box, but you're not taking any physical power away from Soul. She has none to deal with anyways. Plus, the innate heal and sustain coming out of Met Yankee, you see it there with that first ability. He's able to really heal up that poke fairly well, whereas no lifesteal for Vetium means that he has to really invest into health potions, which is wasting 50 gold every time he backs.
You saw Vetium being slightly pushed up in that lane for a second or two as he eats a stellar burst to the face as well there. And immediately the rotation is still coming again from SoaR one more time. You can see Jigs, Snoopy, and Alistair all hunting for a potential pick onto him.
But the wards on that side, just keeping Denial, giving them all the information they need. Homie Faye gonna dash away from the stun, get some extra poke onto Jigs, return it a little bit.
Oh, but Jigs just ulted, so now he jumps in, so now he's going to get ulted in place. The rotation coming out from Denial is better, and Jigs caught out of position. That was a mistake from the support, and he gets punished, but Agni wants to try and answer back.
Just not enough damage to kill Homie Faye. Was so close, trying to just dunk and immediately retreat, but like you mentioned, perfect bait there from the jungler, just waiting for Jigs to use the flop. Ults him and trusts his team to follow up.
Surprised Jigs didn't read that situation at all, because the moment he flops is the moment that Homie's gonna ult him immediately and make sure he's in a really awkward spot. He got punished heavily for that. The best news for SoaR, though, they steal the speed and are looking to get away from Benji now, but Benji's really going in here. Got a lot of poke offered to Andon still with Shadow Q following up. There's not enough teammates, however, though, to really continue to punish them.
No ultimate for Ananser or Snoopy, so they're not going to be worried about those global pressures for now. Fire Elementals are no more 10 minutes hits. The Fire Giant spawns. Met Yankee, trying to secure his own red buff, is able to do so, but doesn't have a whole lot to contest the Fire Giant or the Gold Fury with here.
The Gold Fury looked at, though. That's the real question here. They're in a decent enough position to now to look at it, but you've got to be careful. I mean, those ultimates will come back up relatively quickly the longer it takes.
Exactly. So we're gonna have to wait and see if Denial wants to force the Gold Fury with that Wrath on their side. We saw them do it to great effect in game 1. They were able to get multiple Gold Furies underneath their belt. This time, not looking at any yet. We're sitting at the 11-minute mark. Overall, about 1,000 gold lead for SoaR. Experience difference basically negligible, except in the solo lane where Baskin has that 2-level lead. Snoopy's got a 1-level lead in the mid lane, but Baskin's the one who's been able to kind of amass a bigger lead.
Credit where it's due, though, to Denial. I mean, they've had a really good performance here. They lost 2-0 to SoaR in the online stages. Their online stages were actually pretty strong for the most part as well, getting off to a very good start, starting to slip as the season went on, however, and other teams worked them out. But coming into LAN, they look really focused here and very solid to go to Super Regionals overall.
Focus is the right word. I like that word choice, just because of how much this LAN means to Heroin, both as a player and personally going up against his former teammates, wanting to prove that he didn't need to get kicked. That was just a fluke at DreamHack.
Hurrywind was not the problem, supposedly. Flop onto Shadow Q, though, and he gets picked off. Baskin with a flank around the back. Nobody saw him coming. And because of that, the support is already dead. He does have Wrath, remember. So that being taken off the table makes SoaR's options a little bit easier here. Hurrywind used his ultimate early, but at the same time, Benji has turned up as well.
Perfect meditation from Baskin keeps Andy healthy. The disengage from through space and time, but it looks like Anderson wants to go aggressive. Hits 2 with the ultimate. Snoopy's gonna delete them. Baskin picks up Vedium. Anderson finishes off Benji. That's 4 for nothing for SoaR.
Cast a curse, man. Cast a curse. I was just saying how good Denial and focused and things, and then it all went to poop. SoaR step up again. A great play from them. I thought that was more a reset than anything when we saw Baskin go into the big baby, forcing them away, but the split wasn't good from Denial. They 2-1 split, and 2 members stood on top of each other when Andinster had his Thor ultimate available, and what happens? The boys of SoaR clean up. They get a Gold Fury, and they take a substantial lead at 12 minutes in.
The story for SoaR all weekend right now is just Andinster. I mean, he has been unbelievable. No matter what god you put him on, whether it's Ao Kuang, whether it's Thor.
He'd make you look good in the mid lane right now.
Oh, I don't know about that.
No, he would.
I mean, maybe.
Okay. Second, what's that for? He'd make Ataraxia's Janus look good in the mid lane right now.
That's literally not possible.
I don't know. But he's making, for sure, Snoopy look good right now. Baskin, though, out of Mana here, a little bit too far forward, has the blue buff ticking on him, but he's not going to come through in time, I don't think, for him to be able to get away. Lurking in the waters, does a lot of damage here, and he's going to fall down. Baskin, greedy man, pays the price.
Heroin goes aggressive, trying to catch Andinster's hammer, but you're right, Baskin just no mana, very, very greedy. Maybe using the teleport there would have been the option. As soon as he gets plucked and there's no hard CC left on the side of Denial, just trying to get out of there in time. I don't think he would have been able to. The lurking in the waters probably would have been enough to finish him off either way.
I mean, I called him greedy there, but he did steal the speed buff, to give him credit to that. He stole the speed buff away, and I guess it is. That's the same thing every time. Did he steal speed? Yeah, it's worth dying.
Worth. Anything to get... Oh, hold this thought. Denial looking at the Fire Giant. SoaR have no idea.
Let's have a listen to Denial's comms as they look to try and steal this Fire Giant.
They're gonna know in a second.
No, they're not. They're not.
Really?
Can't tank anymore.
Solo. Nice
Nice
get
hit
up.
up. Oh my god. Oh, we have to defend.
I have
We
no. That's really
Just
good.
we have to push
Yeah.
with it.
Gold was
They know we
12-14.
Well, I called it a steal, I meant a sneak, but tomato overall, they did not get it. They were very calm on comms. Hurrywind was clear as day saying, yeah, trust me, they don't know this is happening. Hurrywind threw his life away there in the mid lane, it felt. And the funny thing about Hurrywind dying there, look at his relics. They are both available. He chose to sack himself on purpose for the good of the team.
Exactly. He's the, oh, look at me. I'm just a mid laner all by myself. Come kill me.
So I was like, Hurry's out of position again.
Exactly. Oh, we got him. What a bad play from him. But, oh, wait, they got fired.
But what can they do with this Fire Giant now? Because at the moment, I'm looking at Denial, they've all gone back to lanes for the most part here. Shouldn't they not be looking to try and take a couple of towers?
They could group up here. I mean, usually you hear that the Fire Giant is worth about 5,000 gold. That's the kind of boost that it gives you, about the equal of having a 5,000 gold kind of boon towards your side, which would basically put this game a little bit in their favor, but the experience difference still hurting them, especially in that solo lane. It's going to be tough to fight into level 17 Basket and level 16 Met Yankee.
Well, they do have a little bit more regen to their favor as well now, and space and time forced by Snoopy there was a little bit too worried. It does apply a bit of pressure to mid lane, but there's not enough of him there to really siege down that tier 1 tower.
Snoopy's ults have been not quite where you want them to be thus far this game, but overall SoaR not really hurting from it because Andinster is doing great, and Snoopy's positioning with unstable vortexes has been awesome. I mean, he's been working really, really well with Andinster. We haven't seen the wombo combo from the dunk through space and time yet, but it's probably coming.
Well, here's the group up with a full minion wave here as well. Vetium going to look to shred down the tower. Jigs on zone duty, catches 2, forces 2 purifications. The tanks are on the front line and they actually get deleted. Jigs goes down for it, but now Andy initiates.
Dunks down onto homie face. Sanctuary Force from Vetium. Hurwin in a tough spot, knocked up. Baskin knows exactly where he's going, though. Coming around the back, looking to finish off the level 13 mid laner.
I don't think he really wanted to take that portal, but it worked out perfectly with him. Horrywind will fall down. One member dead. He didn't have the fire giant, though. The other 4 members still do.
Benji going in on Andy, but isn't able to find the route. Snoopy escapes through the portal. Benji's in there by himself, but just zoning out the rest of SoaR to let them try and get this tower.
Benji needs some help here, because that double tap would have killed him. Instead, it's the unstable Vortex that does. Baskin now going to give chase to the Crocodile, and the Crocodile eats a full stellar burst. Space and time goes through. Doesn't hit home, but it opens up options. Vetium, no, going in against the carries. 1 man down. Not going to get a second one, because Andinster is here.
So close. Vetium trying to make the big play. Almost found the double kill, but instead only trades his life for Snoopy's. Deicide for SoaR up against the Fire Giant Lace Denial, and SoaR not worried about that buff at all.
That start just didn't work out for him. I mean, Jig's got a great... Jig's life falling down there at first may have looked to the fans at home like Jig's made a mistake. He didn't. He got 2 purifications before the fight even happened.
Jigs knows that every time he flops, he's getting nem-ulted, and he's fine with that. He's sitting at 2, 3, and 4 right now at a respectable spot in the damage charts. I mean, above his own mid laner, but that's kind of to be expected with Bacchus. Sometimes you'll see that, the high damage coming out of him, but he's played it very well, baiting himself, allowing himself to die, but it's always 2 ultimates, or even 3 sometimes, being used to burn him. It's always the Nem ultimate. You'll see Herwin pop his as well, and then sometimes Lurking in the Water needs to be used on top of those 2. So baiting himself, allowing the rest of his team to make the plays necessary. And Baskin, I mean, there's been a lot of talk about Andinster this game and how well he's doing, but Baskin is quietly all of a sudden level 19.
Quietly.
3 levels up on Benji and just dominating these team fights.
And doing a great job of it as well, just swinging around the back, cleaning up Horrywind for that first pick that just allowed them to continue pressuring on. Denial there, though, that was the first time they engaged this game. They forced the issue in that one, and it didn't work out great for them whatsoever.
They had the Fire Giant, and they were trying to keep Baskin on that right-hand side. You saw Benji, his job there is just make sure Baskin doesn't come to the team fight. He's unable to do so. Baskin gets there, makes the big impact. Benji comes and tries to do the same, but only being level 16, he gets shredded by the offensive characters on SoaR.
Well, so I think I'm very happy about the situation. I'm going to start the Gold Fury off in a commanding fashion as well. They won the last team fight in spades, so they're going to trophy it again. Andy, though, caught out of position and plugged there, didn't use his purification. It was available for him. The portal available for Snoopy to allow somebody to come through. Jigs gets out, but meanwhile, Baskin forced into Big Baby, and he's very low on mana.
But he does have the meditation available. However, no teleport, so he's going to have to use that to heal up his team and get himself some more mana, or back and try and run back.
There's the meditate. Everybody back to full mana. It's Denial that pulling. Shadow Q goes in for the pluck, but again he misses it, and that could spell doom for the boys of Denial. Back to the backside goes Jigs, and Andinster crashing in to take out Shadow. Next on the list is Vetium, who's doing his best to staying alive, but the Rising Jaguar will only take you so far into a wall and into the hammer of Andy.
Now Herwin in a tough spot, only level 15, very low, looking to trade out his life for Snoopy's, but he's not going to be able to. Andinster picks up the double kill. Benji just able to get out by the skin of his teeth, sitting at less than 100 HP, 3 dead on the side of Denial. Homie Faye also very, very low. This is going to open up a free Gold Fury for SoaR.
And that is going to be a free Gold Fury as well. Completely their way. I don't think Benji's even going to think about teleport. Oh, no, he does. Benji comes back at it again for one more cheeky. Andy's in a bit of trouble there, but we'll jump to his hammer. Next on the list is Jigs. Benji versus the world, and Benji on his own will stop the Gold Fury, but he may pay with his life.
Matt Yankee says, all right, you want to come in? I'll give you something to worry about. Matt Yankee
that was a great play, though.
It does stop the Gold Fury pool, exactly. Benji does his job. He doesn't die. He stops the Gold Fury. Jigs almost gets caught out, lazy backing.
Actual power play for Denial now, yeah. They can go for the Gold Fury here. They've got the wall coverage as well. Andinster, he's on his way back, but I don't know how long until his ultimate is available here. The Gold Fury hitting below half health. The Wrath not available for them here. Space and Time, however, hello! Homie FA gets hit by that. It's not a whole chunk, as it's still early game.
Now the rest of SoaR is here, and the Gold Fury just got it started up by Denial. Thanks for the help, buddies. Gonna get it low for us. We'll come in and clean it up.
Respect Janus.
Janus, man.
Janus.
That's what Janus does.
I mean, people have been calling out for it constantly. Why have we not seen enough Janus? And I don't understand the reason why we don't see enough Janus. The global rotations, the damage output, the safety, the support. He basically has everything you want from a mid laner.
Yes, but he doesn't have the same sort of damage as most mid laners. I mean, he only has one damaging ability. If you want to use his ult for utility, it's really only Unstable Vortex is going to be doing damage. If you're using Portal to do damage in a competitive game, you're dying.
But if you hit your Unstable Vortex, though, you're doing doing the same as like two major abilities.
Yes, but then you've got the cooldown of waiting for it, and it's really not. It feels like two major abilities, but really it isn't. I mean, look at the damage you can do with the Raijin 2-1 combo or an Agni bomb stun flame wave. I mean,
I guess, but Scylla gets played, and she's got like 1 damaging ability.
are you lit right now?
No,
She has
other than
one non-damaging ability.
Other than her ultimate, I mean, her one is more of a root in the early stage. Like, at this stage,
a root that does 800 damage.
later on.
At this stage, what? Okay, so Snoopy's level 16, so it would be max. So
Okay,
it's rooting multiple
maybe
people.
Fine.
Yeah, no. I don't think so.
Okay, Mr. Midlane, you got upset then. Ooh.
No.
Oh.
Still a 1 damaging ability. Can you believe this guy? This is the guy that wanted to buff Scylla. She only has 1 damaging ability,
Yeah,
guys.
it was me.
We need to buff Crush. It needs to do more damage. It's her only damaging ability.
Well, right now in the game, SoaR 16-6 in favor up against Denial here. The Fire Giant has been taken once, surprisingly enough, but SoaR not looking at it right now, playing the positional game of taking down some free towers.
I like this because playing with fire right now is playing with the Fire Giant. I mean, you don't want, that's the opportunity that you see a lot of teams throw away their leads. Instead, just bully the other team, go for the towers, force them to fight you or give up that gold.
Fire Giant has been started by SoaR here. I think they're looking for a response more than anything. Shadow Q and Homie Effie on the front side. Homie eats a double tap. Stellar Burst hits onto Shadow. Didn't take a whole lot of poke from that one, however, though. He'll be okay for now. They're still grouped up here, and at the same time, I feel like SoaR trying to channel them into an awkward alleyway.
The poke from SoaR is excellent. Maybe not quite as good as last game with the bomb stuns, but you could see Annister just consistently throwing out the wall double tap. Unstable Vortex through a wall is going to chunk you. Stellar Burst
Here's
as well.
the engaged space in time, and they did hit onto Vetium, who's running away with his life depending on it, but he's already off the map thanks to Annister next to the list. Shadow Q tries to get a good look in the water off for damage. Instead, he finds himself isolated and alone.
The rest of Denial just cut off completely. Shadow Q gonna fall here, and that's the power of Through Space and Time. Vetium, he's not in a horrible spot, but the team fight just gets dissected down the middle. The entirety of SoaR comes crashing in onto Vetium. Just no matter what relics he's using there, he's gonna die. 2 gone for the Denial, and now SoaR are able to do a 3v5.
Meanwhile, Horiwin's trying to push in mid lane just to keep something out of this, but meanwhile, at the same time I say that, Homie Effie forced to Purify and Baskin giving chase with ultimate available. That's a dead Nemesis.
There he goes. Baskin able to pick up his 4th kill of the game. Now Herwin
Hero
on
play.
the backside trying to make the play, but it's Met who makes the play, deletes the mid laner.
Not enough damage coming out from Horiwin just yet. In the right-hand side, though, Benji under pressure as a Fire Giant is still being done, and it will be done by SoaR, as also Benji will fall down. It's not going to be a DSI as respawns have come through here, but he does trade out 1 for it.
He's able to pick up Annister, which hurts SoaR's push potential significantly. We saw how important Andy was to getting that sort of engagement started just by poking out the enemy team. Baskin, again, being a little bit greedy here. No meditation, no ultimate, trying to get this tier 2 tower, but Vetium's here.
And Vetium can dish out a lot of damage at this stage as well. Going to try and close the gap, but then he's going to force to stop out of Baskin for 1 second here, but a very good stunner step. And you also saw space and time just in your mini-map there, and just from that angle, you can see Snoopy did fire it down the lane to make sure Baskin had an additional escape route.
Exactly, just making sure his solo laner can get out of dodge there. And he does have some CDR, has that Chronos Pendant finish, so he's not super worried about that cooldown, especially with Annister still not up for another 5 seconds. He can kind of wait around, and SoaR can make the push onto this left-hand side or the middle whenever they want to.
So what's the biggest change between Game 1 and Game 2 between these two? Why have SoaR got the lead this game? What's the biggest change that's happened for them?
Baskin did not get picked consistently in the solo lane early on. Benji didn't get a lead. Baskin was able to make the bigger impact in team fights, as well as it allowed Snoopy to really be where he wanted to be and do the damage that he needs to do.
And Denial are just trying to make things happen. Now, this is why they grouped up on this left-hand side. They're trying to force their way back into the game by potentially finding a big pick in the jungle in a really awkward position they wouldn't normally be in.
We saw SoaR try and do the exact same thing up against Denial when they had Fire Giant in the last game. Didn't work out for SoaR, but I like the idea. You might find a straggler just picking off, you know, back harpies or mid cams all by themselves, just waiting for the rest of their team.
Well, that position will allow the tier 2 to be sieged down by SoaR in the mid lane here. The zone duty from Baskin making sure the members on the left have to take the long way around to get in there. So tier 2 falls. It was expected to against a Fire Giant team anyway.
And now the left side being looked at by SoaR. Gold Fury has respawned, so they have the option. They want to take the towers, they want to take the Fury, it looks like they're going to be looking at the towers. What they can do here is take down the towers while they still have the Fire Giant, while they're still very healthy, and then look at the Gold Fury afterwards. Or if things go well during the push, they find some picks, they can just keep going towards the Phoenix. It gives you more options by taking down the towers first.
I mean, it is a 25-minute game, so yeah, these towers and gold still important. Nobody reaching 6 items just yet in this game. I do like the fact they brought minions with them, though. They don't want to try and backdoor this. They recognize that could be an issue for them if they try and backdoor it, so the minions on the way with them will help them out a little bit more here.
Exactly, and the tower push from Yankee so strong. That tower just deleted off the face of the map, and it looks like SoaR, even without a pick, are looking towards this Phoenix.
Baskin marching in here, looking for the double tap onto Veti. Not going to find it, however, with the minions coming in and a minion wave spawning. We'll slow them down for a second here. Round the corner, Hurrywind's looking for the big time play. That Yankee half health, but Hurrywind, as well as his teammate, Snoopy, sorry, his opposition mid laner, Snoopy will fall down in trade.
Yankee forced to use some relics there, and it comes crashing down, but Benji's in the back line trying to kill the souls. Shadow Q's here as well. Yankee's finished off by Homie Faye.
All this play from Hurrywind, he's the one that just did that ultimate, and at the same time, SoaR didn't recognize it. SoaR's in a lot of trouble here, but they want to keep on fighting. They're looking at Vetium. Sanctuary down, Spinto Wing comes into play. Baskin gets the kill, Shadow Q's low. The Crocodile is not smiling right now as Baskin gets himself a double kill. They can at least get the Phoenix here.
No tower push from Matt Yankee, though. It's going to be Aninster alone, basically, with Jigs, but Baskin's going to be teleporting in. There it is. Phoenix is going to fall. Benji steps up. Little bit risky, has the overhead kick, so he's not too worried about the CC coming out of SoaR, and that opens up this left-hand Phoenix. Like you mentioned, really great fight from Hurrywin to start it off. Forces out a lot of both relics actually from Matt Yankee, as well as getting him very low. Snoopy gets picked off with both of his relics available. Not really sure what happened there, but then Denial just chases a little bit too deep. It looks great. I mean, the two magical damage dealers are dead, but Aninster, I mean, you're grouped up around a Thor. That passive comes into big play there, and they're able to make the plays.
We gave the credit to Hurrywin for the ultimate at the start of that, but at the same time, that's SoaR. They're not playing much FPS lately because you always check your angles, right? Whenever you walk around the corner, you check your angles to make sure the coast is clear. Hurrywin was literally just sat on their left-hand side with his drums out like, hey boys, what's up? And they didn't see it until it was too late.
Matt Yankee paid for it for sure, but Aninster, Basket, and Jigs made the rest of Denial pay for killing their two magical damage dealers, doing a really good job of just turning that around. And like I mentioned, I mean, Thor passive, when it's 4 people grouped up, that spin is gonna swing, and that's exactly what it
Titan
did.
Spain as well for the penetration. Thank you very much, said Aninster. It's a dream come true for a Thor player, and one of the best 4 players at that as well. Benji on the right-hand side, looking for the tier 1 tower, but the reinforcements of SoaR have started to rotate. They're gonna have to give this up soon. Denial actually baiting for a rotation there, but SoaR think better of it.
I like the play from Denial overall. They're still working together as a unit. They're still looking to be proactive. They're not waiting for SoaR to be the initiators. They want to be in there and make it plays at their own pace when they get the opportunity. But then as soon as they see the opportunity isn't there, they don't force it. They back up. They get their buffs. They say, okay, we probably can't defend this Fire Giant very well. Let's give it up and try and defend a Phoenix again.
Should they give up the Fire Giant then, you reckon?
I mean, they did a good job up against it on the left-hand side. There's really no reason to lose a bunch of players and open up your Titan right now. I like the call.
I mean, they did, but at the same time, they lost the Phoenix still.
They did, but it was close. I mean, they got the 2 kills that they needed to do, and if they can find that again, now that Vetium's a little bit farther along in his build, now that Hurrywin has his relics, has those items as well, you maybe are able to do it a little bit cleaner and execute better and not lose the Phoenix.
Well, let's see how they do, because the boys of SoaR are channeling down mid lane. Let's listen into the comms of SoaR here and see what they're going to do on this siege.
Look at this guy. That's all we have to do. Now we just go for Phoenix.
He's so low. Just go for Phoenix.
I got flop on Xbalanque. Xbalanque dead.
45. Just go for Phoenix. Go
Phoenix. Go left. Right now. Left Phoenix.
That's right here.
I'm going safe way. I'm going left. We're chilling.
Yeah, Nem's walking behind me. She's in mid now.
I'm coming to help you. Okay, she's on the right. I'm on the right. Feel it.
Nem on the side.
Taking a lot of damage.
Stun on Nem.
That's a lot of
Nice.
damage. That's Raijin on back.
I shout. Out.
That's help. I need help. That's
Nem. They're all really low.
That's taken.
All their carries are
That's
low.
Nem beats. I got Nem. No.
Nice.
Be careful. Don't take the
I have to reset.
Reset. We're okay. Take the photo. We can go for left. Can we go for left? Yeah.
I can't.
No.
Fuck. That was a little too far up there.
Good. Yeah, we just need to be able to.
Well, they got that middle Phoenix pretty clean there overall. A little bit of poke into Shadow Q as well. Team fight comms a little bit sporadic, but it was clear that they all had the same game plan in mind.
The shell from Jigs was well timed, taking a lot of that damage off of the Raijin ultimate, but the problem was, you heard Baskin say it at the end, just a little bit too far up, that Nem ult shreds him at the perfect time as soon as he goes up into Colossal Fury, takes away all those extra protections that he gains in that ultimate, and they're able to finish off Baskin. They do lose Nem in the process, but they defend their right-hand Phoenix, and that's the most important thing.
Is it sort of a waiting game here between Homie FA and Baskin at who ults first? Is it like you've got to do that Mexican standoff? Almost like, okay, who's going to do it first? Who's going to draw first and the other one's going to shoot?
Very much so. It's almost like the Raijin Vulcan ults interaction where you have to wait to use Raijin ult until you see Vulcan ult go off, and it's the same sort of thing. Baskin needs to be very wary of that because we talked about it last game. Vamana ult in the late game doesn't really do a whole lot for you. It's really more of a mid-game
Keeps you
tool.
alive.
It keeps you, well, not really. It just kind of kills you. You don't have the slow available to you. You don't have the clear the path, so you can't use that. You basically just use it to buy time until your cooldowns are back up. So if you pop it at the wrong time and Nemesis ult's still there, you just kind of die.
Well, they only lost Baskin in that fight, and the Fire Giant, as you can see, is still ticking away on them. They have a little bit more time to siege up the Phoenix again. You can see relics have started to come back online. All ultimates available too. So, looking for the final Phoenix is into the Phoenix does get pulled Baskin there. Going to ult a little bit earlier than he would have liked to.
But he's just getting that health regen, has the meditation available still, tanking up this Phoenix. Great flop onto 2 from Jigs, gets the 2-man intoxicate through space and time, misses.
And that's a big play for them to not have available drums of war. Zoning from Horiwin coming out, not a whole lot of damage, and instead Yankee will take out Horiwin. Horiwin's like, oh god, Andy's going to the sky. Andy's already taken out Homie FA, he gets a double. Next on the list is Visha, but Snoopy's going to take that one. Benji's in trouble too now, and Baskin and Andy will combine for another one. That's game. So, have even things up here. A split against Denial in the first set of the day.
Clean deicide there for SoaR. Met Yankee making the play with the ultimates. We talked about, we always talk about it with Raijin. You got to be careful of the big mage ultimates like Zeus, like Scylla, like Vulcan. Well, like Soul too. I mean, Herwin just gets bursted there, insta-killed. Annister picks him up on the back end. SoaR responds with the win.
Wasn't all to do with that, but the Vamana for me, game 1, game 2, was the biggest talking point from my point of view. Vamana had a big impact in both games. When Ravana was drafted, did we really see that much out of them? They did okay.
Okay, but not really. I mean, a lot of talk about Amaterasu as the top winning solo laner during the online split, but Vamana was right behind Amaterasu, and there wasn't a whole lot of talk about Vamana as a character coming into the online group stage as a whole, but every weekend we see Vamana, great game, Vamana, great game, doing really well in the early game and kind of transitioning and handing it off to the carries in the late game. And that's what we saw from Benji in game 1 and what we saw from Baskin in game 2.
Well, you talk about great games, and that was probably one of the best games we've seen this weekend. Hopefully it would have started on day 1, but it did kick off nicely coming into day 2 here. That's a point for each of them, which means that SoaR won't go through this weekend undefeated, which is the first thing to mention.
Exactly. They looked like they may have after their performances yesterday, but Denial showing up, and we were waiting for this matchup with how good Denial looked yesterday, and of course with how good SoaR looked, and it really delivered. I mean, 2 awesome games, both 30 minutes plus, back and forth, really, really fun to watch.
Well, the analysts are ready to give you their feedback on what they thought about that set.
Well, not quite a salty run back, but very similar compositions and styles coming out. This time, though, Baskin doesn't get killed twice in early game, and really, I think that kind of set the pace for SoaR.
It was a surprising change to see the Raven versus the Vamana for Baskin and Benji. We saw Baskin go off into a tear. He was level 20 at the 20-minute mark, 4 levels ahead of Benji.
And do you think, I mean, obviously it wasn't just one person, Fierno, but do you think Baskin having a good game was really the biggest difference?
Definitely. I think Baskin is the designated carry of the team. You get him ahead, and he just leads you to victory. You put him on Vamana, and I mean, he just destroyed with it like Benji did last game. Vamana was the pick of the set, definitely. With all of the Raijin, Nemesis, and Janus, Agni carry aside, Vamana's just the pick.
I want to talk a little bit about Denial as well and kind of their play style. We saw Shadow Q actually being the primary aggressor for that team, but a lot of plucks off the mark, very similar to what got him in trouble in game 1 when Vedium picked him off there. Is this just Shadow Q's mechanics lacking for him right now, or is this SoaR's just already being prepared for it and making sure to juke out of the way?
I think that it's a little bit of both. I think that he's struggling mechanically, but SoaR are doing a good job juking it out. He's too predictable, I would say, in his plucks. He's leading them a little bit too long. Sometimes he needs to make them a little bit quicker decision-making if he wants to find that pick.
Pierno?
Definitely the Sobek didn't seem like the pick for ShadowQ this set. Regardless of him missing a lot of plucks, Denial was still in it for a majority of the set. The team fights were going back and forth throughout the entirety of both games.
I kind of wanted to touch on that as well because ShadowQ is being so aggressive. We also saw Benji, he's got that playstyle where he just jumps on Snoopy and, it's his job. But we saw a lot of times Herwin and Vedium, they didn't have any peel. Very similar to, I would say, Orbit, how they used to play. Is that something that could be an issue for Denial moving forward?
I would definitely have to say so, because when you have the Ravana that wants to be aggressive, and then when ShadowQ goes aggressive with his plucks, then you don't really have anybody to defend against Vedium or to help peel for Vedium. But we did see how well he did in that one team fight in the mid lane where he almost got that triple kill.
Yep.
Unfortunately, there was a minion wave that body blocked those shots, and that would have
Yeah.
been an easy triple kill otherwise.
That was stars in his eyes, Fear now.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one ADC that does that best, it's Xbalanque with the auto attacks that attack past the minions. You can clear that wave while still attacking them. But he just barely didn't have enough damage. I mean, maybe if he had another point in his 3 or...
I think Soul had less than 10 HP. I couldn't even see the health bar, and Annenster was low as well. So unfortunate there. Maybe that game goes a different way. But let's take a look at the standings after that one. Denial have started to climb back up. SoaR still on top, but that was only the first set. I really hope the rest of the games live up to the excitement we got from there. But right now, SoaR in a very comfortable spot, Tolly.
They finished off the first day very cleanly, getting all 6 points. And now, after that first day, a lot of these teams are doing their homework. So Denial being able to take away the first game away from SoaR was really impressive. And they still looked really strong, I would say, in game 2, despite the loss.
Well, we had one Hunter who has returned to the world stage, or trying to return to the world stage after a phenomenal performance last year. It's Vedium standing by with Hinduman.
Thanks so much, Adonis. And yes, I am joined by Vetium here. Congratulations, first of all, on that performance today. You happy with it so far?
I would have liked it 2-0, but split is okay.
So sat on 5 points now, you guys, obviously, in this group. Is this exactly how you expected it to go? Did you expect it a little bit cleaner, or did you expect to, potentially struggle a little bit more here?
Honestly, I didn't really have any expectations, things I knew we were going to do. I go in every land just hoping for the best, and I know my team is going to put the effort in to try and get first place.
So game 1 came out, there, and we saw you, it looked like you had a very situational game plan that worked out great for you guys early on in the early stages, and you just kind of went with it there. Game 2, what was the difference? What changed that caused you guys the issues?
I think it was a mix of misplaying some of the early fights, as well as not having a comp that does as well in the early game, which led to us having a bit of a harder time transitioning.
They just got ahead early game
Yeah.
and just couldn't get back into it.
Yep.
Well, that Fire Giant, I want to bring that up because you took the Fire Giant early on. It was a great call. You snuck it away for the most part under SoaR's nose without me even knowing. But you never really did anything with it. What was the game plan behind taking that fire in the first place? Was it to try and group up and force things?
No, there wasn't really a game plan, but getting a fire at any point in the game is always good unless, your whole team gets wiped. So that was really just the mentality.
So now you've played all 3 teams as well here. How are you feeling about your chances of going? And if you do like your chances, what position do you think you're going to finish in?
I don't really know. We still have a lot of games to play. I think we're only halfway there. So I really don't know, honestly.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us. Good luck in the rest of your games this weekend. Well, that's Denial. They're looking pretty good right now. Can they continue on, or will SoaR march on to first? We'll be back after the break with the rest of the sets.